Anniversaries are special and they're a bit of funny too, because they're like a rock band that reminds you of the good old days and makes you wonder where all those years went. And we are celebrating ours this very month. And we aim to deliver a performance that is so loud that it shakes up the walls. And what better way to celebrate 5 years of chronicling the fastest, the loudest, the meanest, the most irresponsible machines than with this, a car that is phenomenally gorgeous and leaves 11 black lines. Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you the new Aston Martin Vanquish. So let me start with the visual design. It looks phenomenally gorgeous in person. Pictures don't do justice of how beautiful this car looks when you are standing in front of it. And it looks like a quintessential Aston Martin with a big gaping grille in the front. You have a small box in between that is for ADAS capabilities. It gets active safety features. Below that you have a splitter that's finished in carbon fiber. You have vents on the hood so that the air that goes through the grille comes out of here to cool the engine better, and they also are finished in carbon fiber. And if you look at the headlamps, they are similar to the Vantage. I suspect they're the only thing that has been taken from the Aston Martin lineup. The rest of it is all new. And the bonnet itself is one of the longest, the biggest ones I have seen in person. And that's not to do because they had to fit a V12 and they had to extend it. No, nor was it for aerodynamic efficiency. This was purely done for aesthetics. Now over on the side you have 21-inch wheels that are lightweight, and behind them sit carbon ceramic brakes. Now they are not an optional extra, they're a standard equipment and save about 27 kgs. And you have these nice blue calipers that match the interior. Behind that you have this new grille which is actually functional with Aston Martin V12 written on it, because there is no Vanquish badge anywhere on this car. And when I inquired about this with the Aston Martin person we have today, he simply said that if you don't know what this is, you don't deserve to get close to it. And I absolutely love that. What else is finished in carbon fiber is the side skirting, the outside rear view mirror, which has this borderless design and extends 1 kilometer outside the cabin because it has to overlook those rear fat haunches, which makes it look really muscular. You also have a carbon fiber roof up top, which can also be optioned with a glass roof to make it more exquisite, more airy in the cabin, to make it feel larger from the inside. And towards the rear, you have this nice sloping roof that finishes in a ducktail style spoiler, because a proper wing on top would have just been too brashy, and the Vanquish is all about elegance. Now at the back, the biggest talking point of this car's design is this new shield in the back that is finished in carbon fiber, and you can option it to match the car's paint job. In the developing stage, the designers called it the surfboard design, but I like the sound of the shield better. And that is flanked by these new 3D style, delicate yet angry looking tail lamps that remind me of the Valkyrie, and that's a very good thing. Below that are these new quad exhaust setup, big enough to fit my face, and a diffuser for the additional downforce. Now overall the design, it's got those beautiful curves, it's got the elegance, it's low slung, it's impossibly low to the ground, and it's just so gorgeous in person that every time you walk away, you have to turn back to make your soul happy, to put a smile on your face, because it's just beautiful. Step inside and there's a nice flowing mixture of luxury and technology. Now this very unit is spec'd in all blue everything, and it has led me to christen this spec as a Stormtrooper, with the pearlescent white on the outside contrasting black carbon fiber, the blue brake calipers and the all blue interior. Doesn't it remind you of the Stormtrooper? Would you spec it this way? Let me know in the comments below. You have matte satin finish for the carbon fiber on the inside. You can obviously spec it with something else. You have a twin 10.3-inch screens, one for the infotainment and one for the digital instrument cluster, which I believe are the same ones that you get in the Vantage and the DB12, which makes it a really familiar setup. Even the center console, the angle is different, but you still have those same knurled rollers, those tactile switches, buttons, the gear selector. Everything is physical over here and not integrated in a one large digital real estate screen. And thank God for that, because Aston Martin knows that, once you start using this, you're paying attention on the road, that haptic feedback bullshit will not work. This all becomes a part of your physical memory, and it works out really well. Apart from that, you also have buttons for your memory seats, 3 memories for both the seats, which are finished in this semi-aniline leather. Feels really nice. You have a new texture over here, which is also matched with your headliner. And these are the ones, the GT seats, which are comfortable. Now they get the heated function, the ventilation function. The buttons for the electric controls kind of reminds me of the Mercedes of old school, and so do the controls for the lights. Apart from that, you have, again, physical buttons on the steering wheel. The paddle shifters are so satisfying to use. Just flick it into manual and you will enjoy driving. Now, as opposed to the DB12, even though it feels familiar, it is different, because the DB12 is a 2+2 seating. There are 2 seats in the back, but this is a 2+0, so that you have space for your luggage. You have a woofer in the center, and above that you will see there's a carbon fiber strut like the one you find in the engine. There's one under the car as well, so that those Bilstein DTX dampers work their magic. And they get 3 different settings that can be controlled from here, 3 different settings for the exhaust that can be controlled from here, traction controls right here. So everything is where you would expect it to be. You also get a wireless charging pad if you need so. And apart from that, in terms of tech, you get Bowers and Wilkins 15 speaker sound setup. They look like a cheese grater. I doubt anyone will be using that if you have a Twin-Turbo V12 under the hood, but in case you need it, it comes as standard. Apart from that, it's a really nice place to be in. It's got the attention to detail, the stitching is spot on, and you won't be wanting for more. So you open the bonnet and you see that it's finished in this matte carbon fiber. The engine cover is finished in a gloss carbon fiber, and the sides have this forged carbon fiber to it. But underneath the hood lies an all-new 5.2-liter twin-turbocharged V12 that represents 5 years of relentless development, a project that even weathered the challenges of COVID era. Homologating a brand new V12 in 2024 with emission laws breathing down your neck is no easy task. A reimagined cylinder block, newly designed heads, reprofiled camshafts, optimized combustion chambers, a faster, more responsive turbos. The result is an engine that offers an exhilarating 824 brake horsepower and 1000 Newton meters of torque, capable of going from 0 to 100 in just 3.3 seconds, and a top speed of 345 kilometers an hour. But, and this is a big but, I'm not allowed to take this to the limit, because this particular car is part of the global press fleet. That means it needs to survive a few more events, a few more international journalists, and ultimately end up in front of prospective buyers across the world. And this very spec costs nearly 12 crore rupees. So we have been given this exclusively, since we have promised not to fiddle around and mess around with it, and we will behave. Maybe. The Aston Martin guy is giving me a look. I will behave, I promise. There are no slides, no drifting. So let's get in and let's get going. And now we're behind the wheel, driving the Vanquish in India. And what you hear is the speed limiter, so that I don't misbehave. And unlike the Lamborghini Revuelto, there is no hybrid assist, not even a mild 48-volt system. But on the same note, it's not as quite pure as Ferrari's naturally aspirated 12 cylindri. That said, I dare you to drive this thing flat out and then complain about its forced induction. on an open stretch of Bangalore highway. The Vanquish is, well, there is no other way to put it, fast as hell. Sure, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour comes in 3.3 seconds, and it doesn't sound all that special in a world where EVs exist, but in-gear acceleration is where this thing reminds you that it is the most powerful series production Aston Martin ever made. 12 cylinders, 2 turbos, over 800 horsepower. This car just doesn't move. It assaults. It's a sensory overload. The sound alone feels like it's punching you in the chest, but somehow it never feels terrifying. Aston has turned the V12 to deliver its torque in a way that is a thrill to the billionaire owners without actually murdering them. They need to be alive to buy the next V12 Aston after all. And it's just not straight line lunacy. Dynamically, the Vanquish is properly sorted. Weight balance of 51 to 49, front to rear suspension, double wishbones up front, multi-link at the back, the Bilstein's fancy DTX dampers keeping everything tight yet compliant. And there's an electronic diff which, unlike a mechanical one, can go from fully open to fully locked in a few milliseconds, meaning better agility and traction when you need it. But having said that, this steering, it's a tad bit on the heavier side, but once you get used to it, it feels just right. In fact, GT mode is so well charged that you could leave it in there forever and be practically happy. It's precise, predictable, and beautifully balanced. Compared to Aston's recent DB12 and Vantage, which frankly felt a bit too sharp and overformed, the Vanquish is far more natural and fluid. And it actually solves the problem which I had with those two cars, a missing V12. And that's the magic of it. It can be absolutely ballistic when you want it to be, but it can also just lope along in an effortless comfort. It's a car that does both, and that, in my book, makes it just about perfect. So to sum it up, the Vanquish, it ticks a lot of boxes. But let's put all the technicalities aside for a second. Imagine this, you're partying in South Mumbai at 3 a.m. and the champagne is flowing, the conversations are electric, and as you contemplate your first drink of the night, you get a reminder that you have a board meeting at noon in Udaipur. Now with most cars, you just arrive late, or you would end up looking like shit having traveled in a budget airline. But with this, you would just glide in effortlessly, unraveled, and that's the beauty of the Vanquish. You would have a lot of time on your hand, and underneath all this elegance is a properly considered, engineered V12 that makes it not just a good Grand Tourer, it makes it phenomenal. Having said that, I'd have mine in a navy blue. Well, actually I'd have mine in the silver that James Bond will be driving in the next movie. Which one would you pick? Would you pick Aston Martin's Vanquish or Ferrari's 12 Cilindri? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching Top Gear. See you guys next time.